On today's episode of The Resilience Project, I speak to the well-known entrepreneur, motivational speaker and best-selling author Brad Burton. Having grown up on a rough council estate and found himself in huge debt and delivering pizzas in his 30s, Brad was forced to leave his neighbourhood and start a new life almost overnight when he was deliberately shot at. Brad shares how he turned his life around, becoming one of the UK's most successful businessmen, where he launched the business networking organisation 4N, which at its peak was running over 5,000 networking meetings a year, but with significant highs and lows in that journey, and what mindset he used to overcome various burnouts, depression, and being broke a number of times. His attitude to problems and resilience insights will offer real-life, practical examples as to how anyone can improve their life no matter what situation they're facing. Welcome to this episode of The Resilience Project, chatting with Brad Burton. So Brad, thank you so much for joining us. You are a serial entrepreneur and business owner. You're a motivational speaker, published author several times over, and yet a couple of decades earlier, it didn't look like that. You were on a kind of rough council estate, right, maybe knocking around with some slightly dodgy people. Where do you go, how do you get from there to where you are now?
You know what, Wes, there's two versions of us. There's a good version and there's a not so good version. Every single person who's watching this right now has the same fight going on, and it's the biggest fight of our life as to which version we've become. And I look back at my life back then, and I'm still that same guy, but I'm a different guy. We all change, and change isn't easy. That's what I've had to do. I've had to change. I've had to recognise that the path that I was on wasn't going to take me to where I needed to get to. So looking back then, I'm a Salford street kid from a council estate over in Salford, Manchester. And that's the life that I was brought up into. There's no business owners, certainly wasn't back when I was growing up. There's no business owners, and people find a way. And I think that's what I've always done. I've always found a way. In the past, maybe not necessarily the positive way, and more recently, I've found a way in a positive way. To your question, the roundabout way, what changed? I did.
And so did you know, like at what point did you know you had to change? You were running around with some, tricky people, getting into some difficult scrapes. Mm-hmm. Were you thinking, this needs to change? Or were you thinking, this is great?
You think it's great until it's not. The reality is that you don't realise you're in it at the time. You have no idea you're in it. It's a bit like saying to a fish, what's the water like? The fish says, what water? You don't know you're in it. So at the time, the wrong crowd was the right crowd. And I genuinely had no idea I was in it. No idea. And I mean that sincerely. I had no idea. But I did change. I realised I had to make change, because the life that I was on, the path that I was on, wasn't going to elicit a decent, positive outcome.
Yeah. Do you think it would have ended up inside?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. No two ways about that. There's no two ways about that. And it just shows you, and it quite saddens me really, in that up and down the council estates of inner cities, there will be lots of Brads out there that kind of need plucking out and actually be able to change the focus. So yes, in answer to your question, where would have ended up? Prison. No two ways about it.
So you were in that situation. How did you get out of it? Like, what was the next part of the journey?
2 bullets going through my window.
That would change things.
Yeah, it will. So if I said to you, Wes, I put 2 bullets through your window and said, you have to move overnight. You can't stay in contact with anyone that you know. Yeah. You have to leave your business. Where would you move to?
Quite a way away.
Right. And that's the decision that I had to make straight away. So my home of 21 years, where I was born, over in Salford, I had to leave overnight. Overnight. And I had to cut all ties with everyone. And I remember I moved to Weston-super-Mare, and the way that I kind of chose Weston-super-Mare is I got a pin, closed my eyes, and ended up in Weston-super-Mare.
Wow.
And you think, right now I'm sat here as a result of that decision. And every single decision that I've ever made in my life, and every single decision that you've ever made in your entire life, has brought us here today. And I just, this blows my mind about life, those sliding door moments, because if I would have been half an inch that way, I'd have been in Gloucester, whatever. Yeah. So I ended up moving to Weston-super-Mare in 1995, and I kind of arrived at the back end of summer, and I remember sat in Weston-super-Mare High Street, pissed off, annoyed, angry. I was going through a grieving process that I didn't realise. And when you're grieving with anything, you know, the first things, anger, denial, and then at some point you get acceptance. And I was angry. I was an angry young man from Salford, living in Weston-super-Mare, thinking, you know, my life is never going to be the same again. I've had to, and it's interesting because Weston-super-Mare High Street is where I met my wife. So you look at this and you think to yourself, if it had not been for the bullets, it wouldn't have moved away, I wouldn't have met my wife, I wouldn't have started a family, I wouldn't have started a business, I wouldn't be talking to you. So everything happens for a reason, even the shitty stuff. And I think sometimes it just takes 20 years for it all to make sense.
There's a big lesson there, actually, because people go through that shit, not necessarily the bullet through the window
of course.
shit, but they're facing blows and knocks and all this kind of stuff. But yeah, you're right.
Everything happens for a reason. Everything happens for a reason. The darkest day of my life, January 2nd, 1995, turned out to be the best thing that ever happened to me. Just think about that for a second, right? So, you know, whatever you're going through right now, it doesn't feel good. You don't have to like it. You don't have to enjoy it. You might not deserve it, but you do have to accept it. If I was to go and give you now a red hot coal on your hand, what would you do with it? Would you hold on to it? No, you wouldn't. You'd let go of it straight away. But what we end up doing is we hold on to stuff, people that did us wrong, you know, wrongs that weren't righted, what happened when I was 8, all these things. And actually, whilst we're holding on to it, it's causing us pain. And I realised something, I've realised lots of things, and there's lots of lessons about business and so forth, of having to let go of that. You know, a few years ago, my niece died. And the reason I'm sharing that is that as difficult as that is, I said to her mum, would she want you to feel this pain that you've got right now? Yes or no? And she was, yes or no? She said no. I said, well, in which case, what we need to do is let go of the pain and maintain the love for people. And that's what we've all got to do in life. We've got to recognise that things and circumstances are not great and not perfect, but you do have to let go. And that's what I've done with my life. I've had to let go of the past, and I've had to let go in order to open up the future. So you look at the whole thing, the worst day of my life, worst day of my life, became the best thing that ever happened to me. And more recently, there's been some pretty bad days as well, with the pandemic and so forth. But everything happens for a reason, even the shitty stuff. And sometimes, in my case, it takes 20 years for it all to make sense. Or 30 years, I'm sure my age, oh my God.
So you moved to Somerset, eventually meet your wife. What kind of things are you into there? Because you don't go straight from the streets and tricky people to, you know, business owner, entrepreneur.
You're right, you don't. So actually I had to transition from that guy to this guy. And that's exactly what I did. I transitioned from that guy to this guy. And, you know, I built up a network. I'm very prolific networker. So what I did is I came into that, and once I got myself, and I was sat on this, you know, when I was sat on the high street feeling sorry for myself, eventually I said, you know what? There's a time here that I've got to stop feeling sorry for myself. And I joined the gym. I got running, and I got myself fit. Not only physically fit, but mentally fit. And I was unemployed. I've done 4 years on benefits. I would go to Weston-super-Mare Library every single day. Why? Not to read books, to keep warm, because I couldn't afford to have my heating on. But whilst I was keeping warm, I would then start reading. And this street kid from Salford, 23, 24, whatever, I started reading magazines like New Scientist, The Times, Hotel Management. And I remember reading these books day in, day out, and I didn't even know what I was reading, but I just digested, and I got myself an education. And I think this is the thing, you know, people say to me, who qualified you to be a motivational speaker? I did. Do you have any qualifications?
No.
Okay. Don't you really?
No.
Wow, well done. But I always say this about people with qualifications. They go, oh yeah, I've got a degree. Somebody clever made up the degree. So prior to them making up a degree, they had no qualification. They made up a degree, and then you've got a degree. So this is what I did. I qualified myself, and every step of the way, that's what you've got to do. You have to qualify yourself, and I give myself an education, because fundamentally, this is what it's about. There's a good version of me, not so good version of it. And what goes on in this brain is going to dictate what goes on in my life.
There's a lot about resilience that people can learn from that alone, that even when you're in tough times, you found a way through that, kind of pushed yourself up there, dragged yourself up.
Well, you've got no option. This is the thing, Wes, right? You know, I was talking to somebody yesterday, client, mentoring, and they're going through a tough time at the moment. And I said, this tough time you're going through, how long are we going to have it for? So what do you mean? I said, right now, you're telling me about everything that's wrong with your life. Tell me what's right with your life. And they told me what's right with life. I said, see what you're doing, you're focusing on all the negative that's going on in your life. Have you done everything with all the problems in your life to fix these things? Yes or no? Yes. Forget it. Forget it. But once again, the red hot coal, we're holding on to it.
Yeah.
Oh, they shouldn't have done that. I've lost a client. So what? Let go of it. The sooner you can let go, the sooner you can move on.
People are desperate these days. Well, this is a statement that you may disagree with. I think people are desperate these days for instant success.
Oh.
They're not prepared to work at stuff.
Whereas I've been on this for years, mate, and what I mean by that is that I call them certainty salespeople. People that sell certainty. You know, you'll have this whole thing where I was over at one of the shows over at Excel, and they had some guy there selling courses of how you can earn money while you sleep, you know, and also, and I kind of looked at it and I went, is it lost on me that this guy is spending 2 days at Excel flogging courses instead of being on the Maldives on all-inclusive, earning his money? And it's like, whoa. And people couldn't see the connect there. But I think in today's social media world, I think we've got to this right now where really follower count isn't an indication of competence. And yet I've got friends of mine who are hyper wealthy and hyper successful, 200 followers. And then you've got some kid, you know, who comes out of a Lamborghini, you'll learn the secrets, or you can earn 10k a month. And oh my God, all I've got to do is spend £2,500 on a few YouTube videos. Let me tell you something, every single successful person that I've ever met in my life, when I get to that point with them, I ask them a question. If you was going to give me the three things that, you know, the best three things that you knew in your life that you was going to put behind a £10,000 paywall, what would those things be? And there's nothing that anyone's ever told me that should be behind a £10,000 paywall. Like nothing. Yeah. I'd want Obama to deliver the Dead Sea Scrolls for 10 grand. You know what I mean? So I just think that this, how did people ever lose weight before Weight Watchers meals? How did people ever be happy before PlayStation 5s? We've made everything far too complex, and we've got to get back down to basics. And I think the whole world that we're in right now, I don't watch the news. So I've got no idea what's going on in 2.5 years. No idea. And this is about, once again, so I think this whole thing as regards these certainty salespeople, people want to believe. I've been in business now 19 years, Wes. 19 years. Like, for me, it blows my socks off. And I'm telling you right now, I've met some hyper wealthy people, I've met some hyper successful people, and I've met some people who are trying. What this is about, in order for you to get to where you need to get to, or you want to get to, isn't about £10,000 courses. It's not, I promise you. What it's about is about you not skipping the steps. In order to get to where you want to get to, you have to go 1, 2, 3, 4. And what people need to do is not what's the next 10 steps, but what's the next step? What's the next step today that I need to take in order to, and I have a system, I have a principle, a leadership principle. I'm getting quite clever now. All I need is some tortoiseshell glasses. But I've got one that will work for your audience, which is this: 1, 1, 1. In order to get to where you want to get to, what's the thing that you should be doing in the next minute, in the next hour, in the next day? And repeat that. That is what I've done. My business plan was to be better in the next 2 weeks than the previous 2 weeks. I don't have an 87-page document, right? None of that. I work on the fly, and this is what people need to do. So there's no £10,000 system, but I could sell you one. I could absolutely present a system.
The problem with this, and you and I have spoke about this before, we both find it incredibly irritating, these people that kind of steer themselves into personal development and are trying to sell this certainty, when actually, if you say to someone, buy this book for a tenner, it'll give you everything you need, or buy this course for 10 grand. The book will give them more, but they want to take the course because it seems...
But people, there's no shortcuts. People believe there's shortcuts. There's no shortcuts to success. And the sooner you can realise that, everyone wants to be the heavyweight champion of the world. Nobody wants to pound the streets at 5 o'clock in Brixton when there's no adulation, no MEN arena, no walking music. Everyone wants to be the heavyweight champion of the world, but people don't want to drink egg whites, right? They want to be drinking pints. So unless you are prepared to drink egg whites, unless you're prepared to pound the streets at 5 o'clock in the morning, then give up your dreams of being the heavyweight champion of the world. And that applies to every single thing. Everyone wants to get out the Lamborghini and learn the secrets with a snapback back to front. People don't want to do the hard yards. And I'm telling you something, this is the bit, what ends up happening with these people that buy these daft courses, and I will go on record to say they're daft courses, is they're embarrassed. The friends, the family told them not to do it. And they went ahead and did it. And what disgusts me genuinely disgusts me, I don't know how people can sleep at night, is when you've got, and you can beat this out, finance companies selling, or you can sign up, £10,000 course at 29.8% APR. That's disgusting. Well, I mean, who and why and what? And goes back down to the point, is that people want to believe, why do you think it's so expensive? Oh, it must work. And it goes back down to it. The £10 book requires it. I've had people say to me, oh, Brad, are your books on Audible? I don't like reading. And he says, you know what I said to them? I don't like reading either. So what I don't want to do is sit in a studio like this, reading my books. So if you can't be asked, right? If you can't be bothered reading my book, I can't be bothered sitting in a studio for 3 days reading my book either. And this is the bit. Yeah. I spent 18 months on my books, which are available at all good bookstores, right? But I'm joking, but you see what I'm saying? Yeah. People want the shortcuts, so they don't even want to read a book that'll take them 3 hours, 4 hours. They want to listen to an Audible. Cool, Audible doesn't exist. The answer isn't there. My first book, as you well know, I've been in business 19 years, called it Goya, right? We can abbreviate that. Get off your ass. That was what it was called. And I look at that now. In 2009, it was published. I wrote it in 2008. And the lessons are still as valid. Yeah. And the lesson is you rely on self. The only one that is ever going to make you a success is you. You can read all the books in the world, you can go on all the courses in the world, but unless you're prepared to do the one, and do what it takes the next minute, next hour, next day, forget it. Yeah. Like genuinely, it is the equivalent to what we talked about before, about drinking the egg whites and pounding the streets at 5 o'clock. If you don't want to read a book where all the answers are there, give it up. Yeah.
I remember you saying once, I saw it on a video or something, it was so simple, but always sticks in my head. Right. You said, I want to have a six-pack. But I like eating pizza and curry too much.
True story. And that's absolutely true. I would love to have a six-pack. I would love to have a six-pack. Can I stop eating pizza? Am I prepared to not eat pizza? Am I prepared to not eat curry? No. Yeah. So therefore, give up your dream of wanting abs. And this is why people end up in this frustrating place, because they want these things, but they're not prepared to work for it. And I'm living proof that actually eating pizza, eating curry means you don't have abs.
Yeah. But it's a really good
metaphor,
thing. Yeah, a metaphor for all types of success. People who are end up kidding themselves, basically. They're on a track and they're not.
Wes, look, here's the thing. When I started out 19 years ago, I was in survival mode, right? And when you're in survival mode, from a financial perspective, you're not in entrepreneurial mode. So I was in survival mode. I'm now in that position right now in my career, 19 years on. I'm in a position that I could never dream I was in, right? I've not got a Sunseeker yacht. I don't have a fleet of Rolls Royces, but I don't need one either. See, once you realise this, that you have this whole thing where it talks about skipping the steps, right? What'll happen is you'll have insert your motivational sales guru here, okay? And people will go all the way to Las Vegas, spending what little money they've got to somehow go and watch someone on stage as if somehow they're going to get some magic juice that is going to make them a sales and motivational expert. It doesn't work like that. See, if they're there on a 10 and you're at a 3, they disconnect. They disconnect. So what you've got to do, and from my perspective, the reason I say this is I was chasing financial freedom, okay? And what I mean by that is I wanted to be a millionaire. But I'm a street kid from Salford, right? No qualifications, been addicted to drugs twice. You've got to work really hard there, right? 4 years on benefits, deliver pizza at 31. But I live in a 5-bedroom house. I live in a village in Somerset where no one's getting shot. And I think to myself, how lucky am I? My wife wanted a house with a wood burner, so it started going well. The idea that you light a fire and don't run for insurance purposes in a house is beyond me. But look, we got this house with his wood burner, and in each of the corners of the room, and I could say I come from council estates, right? I'm living in a rural. Each of the corners of the room was a spider. I said to the wife, do you want me to get these out? She went, I don't mind small spiders. I said, Kerry, where do you think the big ones come from? The reason I say about the house is this. I had a dream that I'd have a 10-bedroom mansion. Yeah. 10-bedroom mansion. And I had this mind's eye version that we'd have the almost like sweeping staircases, 2 of them. And we'd have a party when we got it. somebody opened the doors and all our guests would come wafting in, and my wife would come down with the Givenchy dress and me with the Hugo Boss suit, looking around at the chandeliers. How lovely is this? What a load of shit. Yeah. Right? That's not my dream. And yet somewhere along the way, I'd foisted whatever society told me, that I need a Learjet, I need a Sunseeker yacht. That's not my dream. My dream is sat there in jogging bottoms playing computer games all day. That's my dream, you know. But that's not very saleable on social media. The reason I say that about the house is I want a 10-bedroom mansion. In my 5-bedroom house in Somerset, I have one room that I don't go in. If I'd have realised my dream, I'd have 6 rooms that I don't go in. But this is the thing, whereas what ends up happening is we have this situation where, you know, people say, oh, my life will be good when I get a 40-inch television. You get a 40, then it's a 60, then it's an 80, then it's 100, then it's a 100-inch curve. Now it's a cinema room. When does it end? How much is enough? Because that's the thing that I've got. I've got something that the richest men in the world doesn't have, enough. Genuinely, I feel like I've got enough. I'm at the top of that financial mountain. Okay, I'm not lavish, I'm not a millionaire, but I've got contentment and I've got happiness, and that's the difference.
Big lessons in that. The people who are on their, whatever the journey is, and thinking that there is a goal out there at the end of the rainbow, but often it's not real, is it?
It's a horizon that you can never reach. You know, I'm going to share a story right now, no names. Got this yacht, went down there to Southampton, had a party and mooch about, whatever. He then drives, or whatever they do. What do you do? You'll know this. What do you do? Do you drive? Do you sail? Sail. There you go. He sailed this yacht to Marbella, and his pride and joy, and his elation, and his pride, and the chest out. And as soon as he came into the Marbella jetty, what was it called, the docks. As soon as he came into the Marbella docks, his face dropped like a pie, as he realised that his big yacht was no longer big anymore. And this is the problem. If money's your only motivator, it's not enough. And people go, oh, I'm telling you right now, I'll give you an example how money's not a big enough motivator. If I was to punch you in the mouth right now and you've got a pre-book punches and I give you £1,000 a pop, how many would you have, Wes? You'd probably go, oh, I'll take 1, but you certainly wouldn't put yourself down for 10. If I said to you, I'm going to punch a family friend in the face, how many would you take all day long, right? Or your niece and nephew, whatever. So money's not a big enough motivator. So what I've done, and this is what I've done, is I've switched my motivation from money to my children. What would it allow me to do for them? If it was left to me, I'd just sit there smoking bongs all weekend, right? But for the first time ever, it's about someone else. So money's not a big enough motivator. Money is not, I promise you, money's not a big enough motivator. But your family, friends, someone you love, if you tune your focus into that, that's when the magic starts happening. What, you reckon that I could deliver pizza at 31? Because, oh yeah, I'm going to be a millionaire one day. Really? No.
So you were delivering pizzas in your early 30s.
Yeah.
And how did your business come around from there?
Great question. So, short version, December the 16th, 2004, told my employer to shove the job up the backside, and I walked out. And I'll tell you something, Wes, it was a wonderfully liberating experience. It really was, for those 3 hours whilst I drove home. I'm married, I've got home and my blood's gone cold, you know.
Didn't go down well.
Opened the door, and standing before me was 8.5 stone of common sense. My wife, she says, you're home early, you're here to look after baby Ben while I go shopping. That's one way to look at it, Kerry. The other way is I've told my employer to shove the job up the backside. What do you think, Wes? My supportive wife said.
I got a feeling you might have got some feedback.
I think that's a fair assessment. I said, look, Kerry, stop crying. I know I'm £25,000 in debt. I know baby Ben's just been born, but it's fine. You know why? Because I'm going to go start my own business off. How difficult can it be? See, my understanding about running your own business was like private number plates, fish tanks and spinny chairs. Nothing quite prepared me for the reality of what it's like to start and run a business. Low sales, no sales, depression. In my case, a whinging wife. You know, there's no book on that. I started my business off, and first year was 28 grand, a marketing business. I turned over 28 grand, which is massively significant in 2005. Second year, halfway through, I was at £46,000, which once again, you know, no heritage. What I did is I used to have terrible depression, okay? Terrible depression. And I'm kind of sharing this now, and I was just literally just while we're on the fly was whether I should share this or not. So I'm going to share it for your audience because I think it'll be useful. I had terrible depression, and it wouldn't make no difference. Whatever happened, about 3 or 4 days a month, it'd be dark. And I would, I would kind of hide. And then I started self-medicating, doing stuff. And that's what you got to do. You have to, when you feel that way, say, okay, I'm going to have a couple of days here feeling sorry for myself, but there comes a point and you have to draw a line with yourself to say, right, I'm having 2 or 3 days of feeling this way, but come Thursday at 12 o'clock, that is it. I'm done. I'm letting go of this. And that's what I did. And the business kind of gave me that. And I realized that, the energy that I've got, the excitement and all that, it dissipated. There's 2 versions of us. There's a good version and not so good version. And what you've got to do is lean into it. The biggest fight of our lives, of your life, of my life, of your life, is to which version you become. And it's like our own little personal Brexit. 48%, 52%, and you've got to fight and defeat it, and that's what I've done over the years. So, going back to the point, is that I started off a business called 4 Consultancy back in the day, sales, new media, marketing and creative design, and effectively what I did is I was the ringmaster for bringing in subcontractors and making certain that there's a level of quality. So, and then I went along in the second year 2 of my business, I went along to one of these networks, and in political terms, you had the loony left where nothing quite happens. Oh, very nice. Shabbily involved. I said, "Man, what do you do, young man?" Very good. No, the local mayor's talking about the parking provision at the shopping centre. Right? Any questions? Yes, Mayor. Do you believe the GDP will increase as a result of the... No one gives a shit, right? So you had the loony left and you had the hardcore right when you go along. Where's your leads? Where's your referrals? You have to attend. And I'm like, I went along and I'm thinking, loony left, hard right, where was the mainstream of business networking? Where was it that appealed to me? Because that didn't appeal to me, that didn't appeal to me. Where was it? And that's why I created it. I created 4 Networking. So February the 16th, 2006, sorry, February the 18th, I can't remember, February 16th, 18th, 2006, I started 4 Networking off and I opened up the words, this is 4 Networking, the business network. And bear in mind, there's hundreds of business networks. There certainly was back then. I opened up the words, welcome to the future of business networking. And I always remember there was 10 tables there, 71 people, 72 people booked on, 71 attended. Once again, I confirmed everyone. People don't want to do the hard yard. So they do all the nice emails and this, that and the other on websites. But when it comes to confirming or doing the things that you've got to do to knock it in, people don't do that. But I did. So I confirmed every single one, 71 people. Yeah.
There's a big lesson in that.
Massive.
Prepared to pick the phone up and do it.
Listen, you've got to do it. So 71 people there. Anyway, I said, welcome to the future. Difficult to believe back then, but I was a fat bumbling idiot that nobody could understand. I was scared. Like literally, my right leg would go like Elvis. Like shaking with nerves. And welcome to the future of business networking. And one table back left started laughing and sniggering. Really? And that is my enduring memory of that launch. And people as human beings, we do that. We focus on the negative. And what we've got to do, and certainly more recently, I focus on the positive. Yeah. Focus on the positive because this will, how you feel about your day will dictate how you see the world.
But there's a lot of lessons in that because people can have 95 positives, but they get 2 or 3 negatives. And they spend too much time. The naysayers, whether it's the husband, the wife, the partner, friends, neighbours, someone.
Correct. Well,
and that's the thing that sits in the back of their head.
If it was me, Wes, I wouldn't be doing that. If it was me, but it's not you. Yeah, I'll do it this way. Yeah, I know that. But I'm doing it this way because it works. So going back to this whole thing, I started 4 Networking off. Nobody gave me a chance. First year, we launched 11 meetings in the UK. So around Somerset and the southwest, so Bristol. And the second year was up to 24. Third year, 56. Year 4, 120. And it just went boom. It was like a hockey curve. And it started going off. And I'm making more money than a kid who's delivering pizzas on £5.80 cash in hand, like effectively. Now I'm starting to have £1 million plus business. And it's like, sorry, me?
At that point, is that imposter syndrome talking to you though?
Oh, mate, everyone has imposter syndrome, Wes. Everyone has imposter syndrome. Let me tell you, I know World Championship boxers, dragons from Dragons Den, #1 top-selling pop stars. When I speak to them in private, I ask them 2 things. One, if you had a paywall with £10,000, what would be the 3 things that you could tell me that So I always ask them that. The other thing is, do you have imposter syndrome? Do you feel a fraud? Do you feel a fake? And every single one of them in private will go, yes. Everyone is blagging it, Wes, including you, including me. And then one day you wake up and guess what? You're no longer blagging it. And once people realise that, life becomes a whole lot easier. And when I speak at these seminars, hundreds, thousands, whatever, right? I ask that question. I turn and face the opposite way. I say, put your hand up if you've had self-limiting beliefs. And you see him. So I can't see him. And I turn back round. So I don't know how many people. But I can assume that 50% of the room had self-limiting beliefs. And people go, yes.
So you went on, so For Networking became,
I think
for its time, it was
Special.
one of the biggest networking organisations in the UK.
It was
Over
the biggest-
5,000 meetings
Yeah,
a year.
Yeah, amazing.
Incredible.
It was.
Like a lot of members. That impacted a lot of business people.
Oh, mate, and you know, it did. And I look at it, and once again, I always ask this question, how are you fundamentally different to your nearest competitor? Because if you can't answer that, it's going to come down to price every single time. Looney left, hard right. How are we fundamentally different to either of them? We had what's called a passport. A passport allowed you to go from North London to Cornwall to Scotland and so forth, and you could go to any of them. We'd set it up like, you know, we utilised social media, systems, and members were doing like almost like Viking raids. So you'd get the people from Bristol, would send 10 of their people over to Wales, and they'd turn up and it'd be it was something special. And so we did that. We did the one-to-ones within meetings, so you had 3 10-minute one-to-ones. You know, and this was then, and we also had the online stuff. So we put the online, and when I came up with For Networking, my tagline was 50% social, 50% business, and it worked. And people are, oh, it needs to be 80% business. Yes, that's the way it used to be. If you want 80% business, go here, right? If you want 50% social, go here. And we mainstream business networking, and it's one of my proudest moments of my achievements in my life.
But that, I think, was a real lesson around the fact that actually relationships are what count, and relationships come from being open to the
Conversation.
Conversation.
You know this one. You know our Steph Thomas when he says every big opportunity starts with a little conversation. Bang on. And that's what you've got to have, more little conversations. That's it. And I think what ends up happening is look, having run a network, I'd have people come up to me and say, it's not really for me, too small businesses here. I'm looking for high net worth individuals. Anytime that anyone ever said that, by default position, as the founder, managing director, or CEO, looking back retrospectively, but anyway, I'd say to them, are you a high net worth individual? They'd say, oh, well, no. So do me a favour, piss off, I need high net worth individuals. You know, I say to people, do yourself a favour in life, do yourself a favour in business. Never overestimate anyone based on the car they've got, based on the suit they're wearing, based on the handbag they've got, based on the shoes. Don't do that. Never overestimate anyone, never underestimate anyone. I've had it with me, people like genuinely underestimate me, and it's beautiful. I was with Theo Pathetis from Dragon's Den a few months back. But anyway, a guy came rushing up to him, hello Theo, hedge funds, live your investments, Theo. All that usual routine, right? Doffing caps. And they started looking, I'm dressed like jeans t-shirt as I do. Looking me up and down, thinking, looking me up and down. These are brand new Samba from Sports Direct, 56 quid to the gold label. Gold label, by the way, look, not messing about. You know, and actually he's looking up and what do you do, young man? Here we go. I says, I'm a builder. And what do you build? It's a big of national businesses, how are you doing? You know, I say this about people, everyone has value. Yeah. And I think there's something that I've always realised, and I know, you know, one of my taglines is that when I speak, I certainly used to. I'm kind of moving away from that now. But you know, I'm from Salford, Manchester. Do have a shaved head. I do have tattoos, but don't worry, I'm not a drug dealer anymore. But the point is, and this is it, is that so many people over the years have got me wrong. And if you're getting me wrong, how many other situations are you getting wrong? Because you believe what you're thinking in your mind's eye to be true, to be real, to be the facts, and it's not. And once you realise that and this is the social media world that we're in right now. Yeah. You know, I've got on record here and said I'm not a millionaire. Don't try to pretend I am. But am I living a life that I could never dream? Genuinely, am I living a sustainable life and an opportunity that I could never dream possible? Yes. Now that, to me, is success. Yeah. Am I happy? Am I content? Yes. Yeah. Do I have enough? Yes.
Yeah. And you, what I always admire about you is what you see is what you get. How you're dressed today is how you dress when you go on stage, when you go in a boardroom, anything. And I know, because I've seen it happen when we've spoken at the same place. Yeah. People come to you afterwards and say,
I got you wrong.
I got you wrong.
Yeah. And I think there's a lesson in that about life. You know, clothes maketh the man. No, they don't. No, they don't. And this is the thing. I don't believe that true success, if you've got to pretend to be something that you're not in order to win business, that isn't success. That's not success. So for me to be me and work at the highest level in the UK, like genuinely, like at the highest, even for me, I'm waiting for the police to arrest me. This doesn't make any sense. But you know, I think that it just shows you that you are good enough. Yeah. And that's the advice that I'd give myself as a child. Because, you know, for you think about 31 delivering pizzas, 31 Wes. I'm 51 now and I look younger, thank you. Right? But the point is that, you know, I was 31 before I started a business off. 31. Yeah. You know, I've done 4 years on benefits. I remember going to the Dole office or whatever, and they say, oh, what have you done to look for work? Nothing. I've been really depressed over the last few months, so I've not really done anything to look for work. But you couldn't say that. So I'd say, here's some of the jobs that I've applied for. And you've got to, you know, and I think that having done 4 years on benefits, we're coming at it from the wrong perspective. If you want to get people, and this applies not only in benefits, but in life, you have to give people hope. You have to give people belief. And right now in this world, in the UK, 2 things that are missing, hope and belief. And hope, when I started my business off in 2006, the one that I'm probably best known for, I based it on New Labour 1997. Now, okay, history hasn't been kind to Tony Blair, but I was long-term unemployed in Weston-super-Mare. Tony Blair got elected, things can only get better, and the whole vibe, and within 9 days he'd got a job. Within 9 days. That said something to me, and so something lit within me. Tony Blair lit something within me in terms of belief, in terms of from a leadership perspective, that actually this guy is okay, that I can be better. And that's, I think, somewhere along the way, is what I've done as a motivational speaker or a leadership developer. That's what I've done. I give people hope, I give people belief, but it's not misguided hope, it's not misguided belief. I will never send anyone to bat on a mission that I know they can't do, ever. But I'll always push people just a little bit outside the comfort zone.
Yeah. But there's a lot of lessons in that. Oh, hello. Sorry to interrupt. Look, it's just a quick favour. If you're enjoying this, which I guess you are if you're still listening, can you make sure you leave a review? That's all. Now, back to the podcast. Do you think that with the news and social media are actually taking hope and belief from people?
Correct. So I had my mum, 79 years old, on the phone at weekend, sobbing. What's up, Mum? I've been watching the news, it's terrible what's going on. I said, Mum, if you didn't watch the news, would you be sobbing now? Well, no, but I just, I feel so... Yeah, I get that. So here's the thing. I've not watched the news for 2.5 years. I've watched it in a total of 90 minutes. Boris Johnson getting binned, Queen going, whatever, 90 minutes in 2.5 years. I used to listen to, I'm not joking, I'd drive 300 miles a day. I'd done a total of 40,000 miles a year with phone networking. I would listen to LBC. Yeah. I used to love it. I used to love the argument. Oh, great. From in the morning all the way through. And the Today Show and this and the other. So I would suggest I would probably get in about 4 to 6 hours of news a day. And the problem is that this stuff takes away, as you say, both belief and hope. So I'd rather be uninformed and happy than informed and miserable. I will only get involved, and this is the key to success. Only get involved, only spend your time, only spend your energy on things that you can impact. If you can't impact, why are you spending your time on it? Why are you spending your time being outraged about what's going on there or what's going on there? There's a whole load of terrible things right now that are going on in the world because society tells us, well, guess what? And the news and media tells us, there's been a whole load of horrible things going on in the world that you don't see on the news. Yeah. Do you go and seek out horrible stuff? Do you sit there on Reddit and looking for murders every single day and bombs going off? No. So why do we allow this? And when did, and I don't know if you want to cut this on the floor, but when did we start allowing dead bodies to go on the news and go as if this is acceptable? This is crazy. So, death and destruction exists. I don't want any part of it. And it certainly doesn't help me or my life or my family or the impact. The only impact that it does is negative impact. So my advice to you is no news is good news.
That is huge advice. Honestly, the number of people for this podcast so far who are successful in their field who have said something similar to that. They keep the news off. They don't give it any airtime in their life. There's a lesson there.
Well, there is, Wes, and I think that what are we tuning into? Why are you? Ask yourself this question. Why I post on LinkedIn? I like to be informed. Oh, shut up. I need to know the interest rates. Oh, shut up. Rubbish. Who are you kidding? We've been conditioned for years. And this applies to we are what we eat, we are what we see, we are what we hear, we are what we watch. And actually, I'm a motivational speaker. Or am I a motivational speaker anymore? I don't know, but nonetheless, right? I'm a leadership coach, right? Whatever, right? But the reality is would I be more effective being up to speed with everything that's going on globally?
No.
Of course not.
Yeah. Yeah, it's huge. So during the 4 networking years, and that was, that was
big thing.
Big thing in the UK.
As disruptive, wasn't it? I actually shook up the marketplace.
It was disruptive.
It was intentionally disruptive, by the way.
You had...
Can I just say one thing here, because this is quite useful. So remember you said to me, how did I transition from the street kid to thinker? When I launched my business, what I did is I went to a rival network's visitors days, and we would do a commando raid. 6 o'clock in the morning, they're having their networking meeting. I would do every single car in the visitors room, and they'd have an envelope. They'd come out, the visitors, they'd open the envelope, it'd say, "Good morning. Did you realise that this networking group requires you to, 1, attend every week, to 2, everything that they didn't want you to know?" Yeah. And it created mayhem. So what happened was whoosh, everyone saying, "This is outrageous, they can't be doing this, you can't attend." And it was the best marketing tool ever. And I don't believe that for networking would have become the thing that it did if I'd not commando raided. I created a war, and it was intentional at the time. And then there was a time, and this just shows you the kind of person when I changed. I'd kind of run them out of Somerset, because if you imagine this big personality in the form of me up against some not big personality, I kind of came in with this freshness, this new Labour vibe and so forth, is that what ended up happening is I run them through and I demolished them from being like this 12, 15 groups. I got them down to 2. And I realised I was bullying now. I realised I was bullying. I could have 2 weeks away from finishing them in the Somerset. And I went, you know what? You're bullying now. Stop. And I think that was a turning point for me, of me realising that, just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. So that was a genuine turning point. And I don't even know if I've ever shared that, but that was a turning point for me, that I realised that yes, I could win, but taking somebody's job, that isn't winning, that's losing.
So you had periods during that business of burnout, of breakdown.
Yeah.
What's the difference between the two?
About 2.5 years, genuinely, a burnout's 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And I had one at the pandemic, August 2020, and it's a belt. But I had a nervous breakdown. And a nervous breakdown is, if I said to you right now, Wes, what's your battery at on your phone? You tell me, what was it? What's it at your iPad? What's it at?
48%.
Okay. What about you? If you had an LED on your head, what would you? No, I'm serious.
Good question.
What would you have? What would it be?
60.
Okay. So right now I'm at 85.
Yeah.
85. So what happened with me is I just kept drawing. This 85 went down to 50, 49, 48. So if you and I were to have a fight right now, okay? All right, no fight, computer game. So you and I are gonna have a game of Street Fighter, okay? We both have, I'm Ryu, you're Ken. In fact, you be Ken, I prefer Ryu, right? So we're playing this with 100% energy. So you've got your idea, you're gonna do this, this, and this. If I whack you about and now you're at 30% energy, are you gonna be fighting as confidently? Are you gonna be as aggressive? You're gonna be on defensive. No, if I get one more hit, I'm gonna be done. Energy is so important. And people say to me, Brad, can you help me with confidence and sales? Let me tell you what I need to help you with first, energy. Because the more energy you've got, the more confident you become. Low energy, low confidence.
That's huge.
Massive.
Honestly, so many people in business who I know want to be successful, and they're like, oh, nobody wants to, and you think, well, I know, I can see you've given it away straight away.
Correct, and this is so energy is absolutely crucial. What was the question, Wes? What was the question?
I can't remember. Oh yeah, burnout, breakdown.
Yeah. Okay, so what ends up happening is this. So 2012, so business is growing, hockey stick, right? So 2.3 mil, I think, in 2011, okay? Then stuff went on internally that actually started to mean it went down, okay? And then because you can only run for so long before your energy starts impacting. So when you start out with these 12 groups, I'm in Somerset, so I leave my house, half hour later, I'm at a networking meeting. Year 4, I'm now in Cornwall or I'm in Scotland. So now the impact of my time is for me to go to a meeting, it's taking me 3 or 4 hours to get there. So the impact was there, which was bad diet, on the road, cans of Red Bull. I got addicted to energy drinks, 5 a day. And then you can't sleep at night because you've been driving to stay awake, and now you're going, I'll have a night off. And now you get up at 6 o'clock and now you're having to present. And this was this recipe for success. That's what happened, success.
Success.
Right? And this is what I see. I see a lot of people, you know, you can go up and down, like I say, you go to a service station, you see guys that are overweight, and you see the big red nose where they've been drinking red wine on expenses the night before, and you see that is a recipe for success. And that's what happened to me. So I had internal problems going on, I had legal problems came out, the business went, just so much. Everything that could go wrong did. Marriage was on its knees, and I remember I quit. November 17th, 2012. I quit. I told my chairman, I'd just come off speaking over in Excel. And I sat down with my chairman and I said, I'm done, I can't handle this. This is like a 2 million quid business. I want out. Isn't this your dream? This is what you deliver pizzas for, isn't it? To get to this point and that, boom. And this is what people don't understand. There comes a point when actually money's not a big enough motivator. You want peace. And I remember walking my dog Tyson, Labradoodle, he's no longer with us now, bless our Tyson. I remember walking him, like I say, I live in this beautiful village, and I'm walking down this canal. It certainly isn't a canal like I was used to as a kid over in Salford, right? Walking down the canal, and I remember crying to myself and speaking audibly, saying, I just want to feel normal. 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 I was gone, shot to pieces, no energy. And lack of energy turns cowards of strong men. And this is what I say to people when I work with people. I say, look, all these business plans, that's great. What's your energy at the moment? And depending on what they say to me, I say, right, let's get energy up. If you had 100% energy, would you be thinking better? Would you be making better decisions? Yes. So that's where I work on from that perspective. So I had a burnout. I had a mental breakdown that took 2.5 years to get back to normal. Like genuinely, 2.5 years. There's no energy. So now it's like driving a car with no oil. Yeah, but I need to get 5 miles away. Yeah, but you got no oil. Yeah, but I need to get there. Okay, so every and it was So you know, look, I'm all right now, but. So I had a nervous breakdown, and I say to people, look, I've had several burnouts, and I realised I probably had a nervous breakdown when I got shot at. I didn't realise at the time. It's only retrospectively looking back what was going on. I go, yeah, I did, you know. And what that means is your ability. And my wife said to me, do you want a cup of tea? Don't know, coffee. Right. Yeah. So my usual sharp, boom, 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 gone. I couldn't even answer. Do you want a tea or coffee? People don't understand. This is where the war is won. I said there's two versions of you: good version, not so good version. This is your biggest chance of success. This is your biggest chance of failure. But people don't. What ends up happening is his brain just goes from one great dinner party to a great cocktail to another party to, as if it's some kind of, just taking it from one fun experience to another. You have to look after yourself. And one of the things I've realised, having run a business, is without you don't have a business. So you've got to look after yourself. Crucial.
Do you think a lot of people, if you stop them in the street and you say, what's the opposite of success? They'll say failure. Whereas I've always got this thing that failure and success are completely inextricably linked. They go together. Question, They're not, like mediocrity is the opposite of success. Beautiful, yeah. So in your world...
Can I ask you what success is?
Different for different people.
I know that. I'm asking you, what's your success?
For me, to be happy.
Right. And that's fundamentally at its core. People miss that bit because they think that it's straddling a Learjet, it's having a Sunseeker yacht, it's getting sparklers in bottles of champagnes for people that don't like you. It's eating the finest foods, the finest, when I go to holiday now, I remember saying to baby Ben, when I was delivering pizzas, I'm going to take you to Disney World, 6-month-old, right? I said to baby Ben, 25 grand in personal debt, I said to baby Ben, I'm going to take you to Disney World. There is no one in this planet that thought, this guy delivering pizza is going to take it, but that's what I did. I had a focus, I had a vision. I've been to Disney World with Ben and what have you, 13 times. 1-3, right? If I'd not set that stall out and said, welcome to the future of business networking, if I'd not told baby Ben that, and the other thing is, these tattoos, there's a great story behind these, is when I had that nervous breakdown, the burnout, and I said to Terry Cooper, my chairman, I quit. He said to me, wizened old Terry, 56 at the time. He said, Brad, do you trust me? I said, yeah. He said, 100%? I said, yeah. He said, you ain't quitting. He said, right now, you're tired. But I'll give you my word. You, give this 6 months, and in 6 months' time, if you still want to quit, We'll put it in the diary now. You don't. So that's what he did. He gave me a temporary reprieve, and that's when I got these tattoos. That meant I burnt the boats. That I'm never going to get employed again. I had no option because I was as close to quitting on my stool as any individual. If Terry Cooper would have said, "Yeah, you're done," guess what? We might not be sorry now.
I've not heard that before, and that is great advice for anyone who is feeling low, who's feeling like quitting. Put it in the diary in 6 months' time.
Right, and if you, will you do everything that you can possibly do to keep your dream alive in the next 6 months? Yes or no? Well, no, I'm not really. Right, in which case, go. However, if you really want this to work, you really want this, and I always ask the question, whenever I look at anyone successful, you go, what are they doing that you're not? Like literally, go and get a list and ask them, what are they doing that you're not? Yeah. So simple, but so powerful. But once again, we go back down to the running the streets. Are you up for this? So I said before about picking the phone up. I'm going to share a story. So everyone said to me, you'll never get your book published, right? Now, just to be clear, and be genuine, I don't even bother selling books anymore. So this isn't about, trust me on this one, right? The book's 15 years old. I don't even know if we've gotten it, whatever, right? So this isn't any sales pitch, okay? But I remember back in the day, and I've written 4 books. I'm not as thick as I look. And once again, no qualifications, no education, no English degree, no writing literary degree. I just learned how to write, and Word as a spell check on, and grammar check, that's it. So, I did it. And I remember writing my first 2 books, Get Off Your Arse, and Get Off Your Arse 2, T-O-O-O. And I thought, how'd you get them in Waterstones? And I went to see some book expert or literary whatever, and they went, you'll never get it in Waterstones. Why is that? Well, because of the offensive title, you're going to need to star out the word arse. Okay, so guess what I did? I picked up the phone and I rang up the chief bar at Waterstones for 8 weeks, every single day. Now, let's be quite clear here. I'm not mentally ill. I don't like doing cold calls. Be under no illusion here. Don't think, Brad's... I hated them. So I used to count myself down, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, he's not available. Right. Could you just let me know Brad called? Thanks. 8 weeks. Really? Eventually, it'll be 8 weeks. 8 weeks. Phone gets picked up. Hello. Hi, is that Steve? Hi, Steve, it's Brad. I've been trying to go. Brad, I've been meaning to get hold of you. Yeah, I've been busy. Steve, can I come and see you? Yeah, sure. So goes to see him. Best way to describe it, like Mr. Burns. So tell me, why are you here? You're the chief bar at Waterstones. I've got a book. What do you freaking think? Thought it, didn't say it. I said, Steve, can I be really honest with you? He said, sure. So I've got no idea what I'm doing. And he burst out laughing. He said, that is the best sales pitch I've heard in 20 years. I said, I'm being honest with you. What is the point? I'm never going to be able to blag or pull the wool over your eyes. So he goes, he says, right. He said, do you know anything about it? I said, I've got no idea. He said, right, well, what happens in Waterstones? You have 5 levels. Level 5, you go in every one. J.K. Rowling. Level 1, I'm going to put you in 3 and put your books in there. That was it. So my books got in Waterstones. But remember, somebody told me I'd never get it in there. Yeah. An expert. Yeah. An expert told me I would never get it in there. But I had to turn down the volume on these people. Every step of the way, people said to me, don't start a business off. My wife, my well-meaning, supportive wife, she said, don't start a business off. Turn down the volume on it. Oh, your phone networking will never work. That was what I was told by the people laughing at the back. It'll never work. Oh, networks come and go. They was wrong. 68,000 business networking meetings later. You'll never get your book in Waterstones. They was wrong. You can't possibly be a motivational speaker. You'll never get booked. Why not? Well, you look like a drug dealer. The bottom line is every step of the way, and this is it, this is the takeaway here, Wes, someone has to go first. Someone has to be that person that goes first. That's been me. Why can't that person that goes first, why can't it be you? Why can't it be you? Why can't it be you? Someone has to go first. And it's only a daft idea if it doesn't work. So, you're mad, networking, mad. Brad Burton, networking genius, front cover of a magazine. So you've got to turn down the volume on neg-heads and you've got to turn up the volume on self-talk.
That's a really good way of putting it. I mean, it is true that everybody appears like an idiot until they become successful. And then other people are like, I knew you'd make it. Have you had that in your life? People that are like, I knew you'd do it.
Well, what's interesting, the jeans, trainers and t-shirt get up, everyone's had 3-piece suits, pocket watches and monocles before, and I've never been over Mount Kilimanjaro, right? I've never been over frigging the Great Wall of China on a unicycle or carried a washing machine. Done none of these things. I got shot at, I've got no qualifications, that's my niche. But I leaned into it. Brad, you probably need to cover those tattoos up. No. Brad, what you need to do is you need to get rid of your Mancunian and you need to stop being like, more right, shut up. No, you know what I need to do? Live my life the way that I want to live my life, because too many people are looking at what everyone else is doing, and this is why society is messed up, because you can't have an opinion right now because they agree? No, they're not. Okay, so and we need to be, if you want to have true success in your life, you need to be you. That's it. Right? You know, I see sales conferences what you need to do, the sales techniques, and take it from me. If the buyer doesn't like the seller, it's going nowhere. Mm-hmm. You know, the way that you sell? By not selling, by talking, communication. And this is the bit that I've looked at. And maybe, I was talking to someone yesterday, and it genuinely was. Someone from Harvard Business School, right? And I'm on a Zoom, and I'm scratching my head, and I'm having a chat with him, and I'm holding my own. I'm holding my own, and this individual said, you have something pretty special. I said, go on. He said, because your experience, the way that you look at the world, I don't know anyone that looks at the world like you, because you don't care. You just say it. And if people don't like what you're saying, that's okay, because I like what I'm saying. And the world would be a whole lot better if we just stayed in our own lane and we focused on our lives rather than getting involved in, don't like those shoes, Wes. But you like those shoes. I don't like those trainers, Brad. I like those trainers. So what we need to do is we need to start focusing, and this goes on to what we talked about before, about the news. Whilst you're spending energy out there, are all the problems in your life and your world and your business fixed? No. Well, why are you focused on somebody else's problems? Let's get these fixed, and then you can save the world.
You know, talking to you is fascinating because there's so many questions I want to ask you, and then you almost answer some of those questions, and then my head goes off. Yeah, I think that might be it. Tell me, when the business... Eventually the business went away from you. You decided to part ways.
Well, no, I think we should talk about it because, you know, it's... remember before I said the worst day of my life became the best thing that ever happened to me. I was 14 years in of my business, and just statistically, 94% of businesses fail in the first decade, okay? So, guy, no qualifications, 4 years on benefits, delivered pizzas, got shot at, been addicted to drugs twice, blah, 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 blah. Created a business that defied the percentage odds. And then March 22nd, 2020 came along. Boris Johnson says, please stay at home. What do you think I'll do, Wes, to 500 business networking meetings up and down the hotels of the land?
It made it difficult to go and sit in a hotel room with other people, didn't it?
Well, so we was the first network to go online. We was there within 24 hours. I'd already, once again, this is what I do. I kind of look at a trajectory on something and get ahead of it. I wrote a book, my last one's called Now What? People only ask that question, now what, when the shit's hitting the fan. People under stress don't make great decisions. So being under stress, trying to make decisions isn't a good thing. So what I did is I'm the kind of guy who makes decisions when I'm not stressed. So in the event that you go and punch me in the face, I know what I'm going to do. You see what I'm saying? That I'm kind of ahead. I'm thinking, what would I do in this situation? So Boris asked us to stay at home. How long did you think that first lockdown was going to go on for? Be honest.
3 weeks.
Right, because we was told.
Yeah.
And then, it's going to be a little bit longer.
Yeah.
We're going to do a fire break.
Yeah. Another 3 weeks.
Right. So this is what happened for 2 years, effectively. So we took it online, and it was initial euphoria. You know, Joe Wicks dancing, and everything was like, yeah, we can do this, we can band together.
Good weather, that helps.
Good weather, oh my God. Yeah, sat there in the garden having cider. Yeah. Oh no, I wasn't. I was doing 14-hour days in my bunker. Yeah, I was. And I remember, you know, trying to maintain this. And I had a mentoring group, and I also got a stalker as well, which is another story. But I had a mentoring group where I had 200 members, effectively. And I had my business, I had a management team running for networking. I had a mentoring group, and I would deal with probably 2 or 3 problems a day. My members saying, hey, we've got a problem with, and I would pick it up like equalizer. I'm a troubleshooter. I'm a problem solver. That's what I do. Give me a problem, I will give you a solution. Don't care how tough it is, right? Nothing intimidates me. Whatever the problem is, right? And that's what people are doing. The pandemic come, I'm now having to save my business, and I've got 200 people looking to me for answers, plus I've got a team of 800 looking to me for answers. And as a leader, people expect you to be strong. And I wasn't strong, but I had to pretend I was. And I remember being at sea effectively on a raft. And everywhere you look, there's just sea. And I said to my guys, we're going this way. Yeah, but why, bro? Trust me, I know. But I realised I didn't know. But I realised if I didn't move, we was done anyway. So anyway, that went on. My network, 500 networking meetings, people asking for refunds and so forth, 500 networking meetings a month, people asking for refunds, and it was just like that. We got a bounce back loan, whenever, scrambling for a bounce back loan, got a bounce back loan, and then within 3 days we had no bounce back loan because I paid everyone, gone. So I got rid of every debt, so I didn't keep all of it, I didn't play, I paid everyone. And then, I had this burnout as well within 3 months of that. And I remember I picked my mum up, I might have broke the thing here. I brought her over and, she was in a bad way. So spent the day with her, she stayed over. So I dropped her off 2 o'clock in the afternoon on a Saturday, and I came back home and I went for a lie down. And as I started, I got up for a wee. And as I started going to the toilet, normally it would take me 3 seconds to walk from my, en suite. 15 seconds. I was like a 90-year-old man. I couldn't walk. Sweat was pouring off me. What's going on here? What is going on? I've got no idea. Have you ever seen like a World War I footage of somebody shell-shocked? That's what it was like. What's going on? I've got no idea. Like Parkinson's. Have I broke myself? Mental. So it was a burnout. And I didn't know whether or not that was a mental nervous breakdown. So I had no idea. Is this 2.5 years? Took 2.5 weeks to kind of get normal. Mate, and this is the bit that people don't understand. We live here. You think about how many times you've moved house. How many times have you moved brain? You've not. And this is the bit that people need to understand. This is where success, this is where failure is formed. So if you don't look after yourself, and the pandemic was a good example, it didn't make no difference how good you looked after yourself. So I was doing 14-hour days. And I remember I got a phone call from my mum. I'm like, Obama's war room, right? Dealing with calls and so forth. It was horrible. It was good fun at first because you think it's going to be 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So you're planning for 3 weeks. And we had money for probably 4 months. And then, you're in for like a year and a half later, you're going, okay, this isn't good. My mum rang me up and, just watching Paul O'Grady. I'm dealing with war room here, like on a Pegasus Bridge with an M42 machine gun loading. Mum's talking to me about frigging, Paul O'Grady and dog jackets and sprouts, right? And I'm like this, right? Yeah, all right, Mum. I've got people, just craziness. And eventually I put the phone down. I texted me mate or rang me, a decent guy. And he said to me, I said, my mum's talking to me about Paul O'Grady, dog jackets and sprouts. He said, Brad, one day you're going to wish you could speak to your mum about Paul O'Grady, dog jackets and sprouts. Powerful stuff, mate.
Very powerful.
Powerful stuff, because actually, let me be quite clear, none of this business stuff matters. None of us are getting out of this alive. You're going to die, I'm going to die. And it's like, death happens to everyone else. And your house, your dream house that you live in 100 years' time, someone else is going to live in there. And my man cave with my arcade machine and my PlayStation and my PC, and one day Jemima's going to put a playhouse in it. And somebody who at my house that I live in right now, 100 years ago, somebody lived. And this is the bit that we don't understand. We're so focused on 20 years' time, on 5 years. We're so focused on 5 years' time, 10 years' time, 20 years' time. I have no idea what's happening in the next 20 minutes. There could be nuclear warheads heading over here now through no fault of our own. And this is what people need to do. They need to stop living in the past. They need to stop living in the future. And what they need to start doing is living in the now, right now, this moment where you and I are talking. Everything's good. You start stepping out of it. You start getting depressed about the past. You start getting full of anxiety about the future. This is what we need to do. Get down to the now, right now. This is what's important. And the only reason I can say this is having come from council estates, having got shot at, I've been seeing my life change like that. My life changed like that. Everything's great over in Salford. 2 bullets through your window. Boom, gone. Guess what? Everything's not great. Everything's great in my business, multi-million-pound business. Everything's amazing. Chablais, Volivants, everything. And then all of a sudden, pandemic comes along through no fault of my own, through a wet market in China. Right? Nobody knows.
Talk to us about the Lurpak. I've seen you talk about Lurpak.
Yeah.
And I really like this.
Yeah. So one of the things I've realised throughout my life is there's no guarantees. And I say to people, they need to start saying yes. They need to start talking themselves into things. That holiday that you want, you keep talking about, we should go to the elephant sanctuaries in Thailand, or we should do this, that, and the other. Get on with it. Oh, but we can't afford it. Okay. When are you going to be able to afford it? Oh, well, maybe 3 years' time. Good. Go and book a deposit on it today. Make it real. Make it real. So I want you to go and book the holiday. So I want you to start saying, yes, book the holiday. Yes, light the candle. Because right now, you'll have a load of Yankee candles that you're not lit, you know, and you get some more for your birthday, more for Christmas, more for Halloween, more for light the candle. My wife's got a Joe Malone candle with a 100-hour burn time that she's saving. If she lit it now, in about 2037, it might be gone. Yeah. You know, why do we do this? Oh, I don't like wearing my watch. I've got a posh watch in case it gets scratched. I don't want to protect my car in case somebody... What? Like, seriously, this is not... So I go, like, yes, you know, book the holiday. Yes, light the candle. Yes, buy the Lurpak. Life is too short for cheap on-brand spreads. And what I mean by that, it's like a declaration, right? The point is that this is like, do it. Yeah. Whatever it is, do it. You know, you want to start a business off, do it. You want to move away, do it. You want to immigrate, do it. You want to have a baby, do it. You want to do it. Do it. Because I promise you right now, I bought a daft car back in before the pandemic. I had a BMW i8. And like, for me, it's a supercar. As a kid from Salford and the council estate, they've got the i8 with doors that go up. It's like, woof. Pandemic came, guess what? I had to go. But mountaineers don't stay at the top of mountains. They go to the top. You don't go to the top of Everest and go, oh, how long have you been here? About 4 years. Right? You come back down. And this is what people need to understand. Life is full of ups. Life's full of downs. Good times come, good times go. Good times come, good times go. Good times come, bad times go. This is how life is. You know, oh, but... And the problem is this, is that no one's life is perfect. No one's business is perfect. I talk at the highest level in the UK and whatever, and I go, in fact, globally, what am I about UK? Globally. Like, it just blows my mind. But anyway, I go, is your life perfect? Put your hand up if it is. If your life is 100% perfect, put it up. I think I've had one hand in like 2 years, right? Okay, mentally ill, right? But, you know, is your life perfect? And they go, but no. Is your business perfect? No. If you go on Instagram, all you'll see is perfect lives and perfect businesses. So, thousands of people there, no one's life's perfect, no one's business is perfect. No, okay. But I go on Instagram, all I will see is perfect lives and perfect businesses. This stuff drives you crazy. It is the news. It's the news. It's even worse than that. It's insidious because you go, oh, look at this, it's a 27-year-old getting out of a car and I'm 28, I've not got a Lamborghini. Stop it. Run your race. There's a reason that racehorses wear blinkers. They don't give a toss about the competition. That's what you've got to do. Focus you and your energy on your life, on things you can impact. Yeah,
swim in your lane.
That's it.
Control the controllables.
Correct.
I think that if we were to sum up Brad Burton, like, do it, it's probably two pretty accurate words. Be you and do it. Yeah. Be you and do it. Be you and do it. That's it. That's the simplicity of it. That'll be 10 grand, please. Right? But you see how easy it'd be for me, Wes, to come out of dickhead pictures of videos of me speaking in front of things and getting out of Lamborghini, you know, and it just, this is the thing, and this is like genuine, as opposed to me having egg fried rice and curry sauce from a chippy on Friday, which is my Lamborghini, right? And this is the problem, is that when you have something up here, it's this unattainable stuff. So all these dream things that I've got, you know, my biggest material thing, and I mentioned it before, my arcade machine, I spent like a few £1,000s on it 8 years ago, right? My wife didn't want me to buy it. Again, but it's my life. It's my life. It's my life. So my Lamborghini is my arcade machine. And what that was about being an 8-year-old kid from Salford, Manchester, over at Rill or Blackpool, and seeing an arcade machine and going, oh, I'm going to have one of these, you know. But once again, look at what I talk about setting the intention. I'm going to have an arcade machine at an 8-year-old. Hey, baby Ben, I'm going to take you to Disney World. And this is what I'm trying to say, is that, and I swear to it on this one, whether you're into The Secret, manifestation, whatever, I am telling you there is something in this stuff. I am telling you right now, people, as someone who's in no way from, you know, a woo or whatever, I have grown into this stuff, by the way, but I swear to you, if you don't set down a firm mission and 100% believe in it, not 99.9, 100%, 100%, not 99.9, it won't, I swear it doesn't work. It's a bit like plumbing, you know, toilets in and the last, you've got half a centimetre. It doesn't work. So unless you are 100%, and you've got to have, and I started my business off with 3 things: ideas, vision and belief. It's about belief, it's about belief, it's about belief. And if you don't 100% believe in your business or your idea, don't get upset when other people don't 100% believe in it either and they don't buy. So how can you get upset when somebody's not buying your products and services when you don't 100% believe in it? So you've got to have this misguided self-belief, which is what I've always had.
And you know, go back to me being a young man, I was great at getting in nightclubs for free. For whatever reason, if you asked me to do it now, I wouldn't even know how to do it. But for whatever reason, it came natural to me. Walking up there like I'm 10 men and people going, oh, there you go, you must be in. Look like you belong.
Yeah.
And that's all I've ever done. I've done my utmost to make a positive difference. That's what people say to me. They say, oh, what's your mission? To make a positive difference. If you can make a positive difference, you can make a profit, brilliant. But you know, the idea that I could make a profit and not a positive difference, nah, not for me. And all these certainty salespeople, these people that sell shit, I don't know how they can sleep at night. And I mean that, you know, some of these people are going to get buried in a coffin with £20 notes. And there's more to life than money. Once you've got, and this is the problem, is that if your only motivation is money, it's not enough. And I think that the world is these people, you know, you go and Google Brad Burton scam and see how many records come up on social media. There's no record. And that's what I can come away with, 19 years of running a business, of making a positive difference, not only to my own life and to that of my families, but to thousands, if not tens of thousands of other people.
And that brings us quite nicely towards the end, really. Last couple of things. For people that are maybe on a journey right now that isn't going the way they want it to,
Yep.
and that's where they need that resilience, what would you say to them about keeping going?
So you need to understand why you're doing it and who you're doing it for. Because when it gets tough, what you reckon running a business with 15 staff and this, that and the other, and the pandemic comes along, you reckon I was like, oh yeah. No, I looked towards my children to give me the strength. I have my wife's initial on here to give me strength. Find something that gives you strength. Find some faith, if you're religious, whatever, right? I'm not religious, right? But whatever your thing is, to give you strength, to get your energy back up, and understand this, that all problems have a worse before date. And you've survived everything that's come before, no matter how difficult and traumatic it is. And another thing to do, go and get a piece of paper, blank piece of paper, and write at the bottom your set of circumstances. Oh, it's terrible, I've got no money at the moment. And then just keep writing above it how it could be worse. Right? And then when you get to the top, you'll see that your life right now isn't that bad, and it allows you to recalibrate. It allows you to recalibrate where you are, because this will talk you into success, this will talk you into failure. Two sides of the same coin. Which version do you want to be? There's a good positive version and there's a negative one. Talk yourself into it. Say to yourself right now, if I put a gun to your head and said, right, I need you to fix this situation. Manchester motivation, by the way. Right? If I need you to fix this situation, or you won't see the next 10 minutes, what would you do? Oh, I'd do that, I'd ring them, I'd do that, I'd do it. Why are you doing it now? And that is the bit that you need to start finding that. You need to find that when you don't want to get off the sofa, when you don't want to pound the streets, when you don't want to pick up the phone, when you don't want to do that, you need to find the strength, the courage and the energy to do it.
Yeah. How will people remember Brad Burton?
You know what I reckon I'm Generation 1 rapper. And what I mean by that is, like, if you think about the Generation 1 rappers, the people before Dr. Dre. Yeah. Dr. Dre made all the money in Eminem. I think I'm a pioneer. I think I'm a pioneer in this game, and I've proven the point that I'm good enough. And I think that people, you know, will hope for their... Look, a legacy is a garden you're never going to see, right? That's the reality of it. One day I'm not going to be here, and, you know, what people think about me beyond that is gone. I think what matters now is what people think about me right now.
And people that don't feel enough, like you've talked about, how do they get through that?
Recognise that nobody ever feels enough until you do. And, you know, it takes time. But what I need you to do is I need you to think about this like almost like a seesaw, right? And I need you to keep, say you're down here, I need you to just keep walking. Eventually it tips. And that's what my life's done. So I'm now here. But it was very difficult. And you know, you've got to be your own biggest cheerleader. You've got to be your own PR. You've got to be your own driver. You've got to be your own sales manager. You have to be all these things in order to be a success. And, you know, hopefully I've proven beyond the shadow of a doubt that a kid with no qualifications, addicted to drugs twice, shot out at 21, delivered pizzas at 31, 25 grand in debt, made it. Yeah. And actually, if I did it, then what's stopping you?
Well, I think you have an incredibly inspiring outlook for life, really. All the things you've been through to where you are today.
Amazing.
I truly tip my hat to you, off to you. And I know that there's going to be a lot more from you. I know that it might be different directions.
Yeah. That's where we are now.
But you are going to continue to inspire people and make a difference.
No, I appreciate it.
So really appreciate having you
Top man. Thank you very much.
today. Thank you so much. Thanks for listening to The Resilience Project. Make sure you're subscribed for notifications with your favourite podcast platform so you find out first when the next one is released. For other news and updates, you can register with me directly at weslinden.com/podcast.